All right, you ready to go?
All right. It's playoffs, wild card weekend, and Pro Football Doc Sports Injury Central podcast live. We will field questions. Certainly fewer and fewer players, fewer and fewer teams. But, Taylor, I kind of like this weekend. It's not over yet. There's still the Monday night game.
Absolutely.
In some ways, it's the closest comparison to opening weekend of March Madness. It's not quite as crazy as that.
Not 64 games or the 32. Yeah.
It's not 32 games and it's not 4 days, but across the weekend, I think it was kind of nice. It was, one game, next game, and good football, enough football, but
spread out well. Yeah.
Spread out nicely. And in some ways, divisional round will be okay, but then the conference championship is just 2 games. It's almost not enough. But we're getting down there. All good. It's fun matchups, interesting matchups. Not all close games, but it was interesting.
Well, I'll go through. We were 4-0 last year with our wild card picks. This against the spread. This year we managed to do a 3-1. Tampa Bay didn't help us out with the perfect again, but like you said, every single week when we do stuff like that, it just gets harder and harder, right? Because the healthy teams get eliminated and not as many injuries.
This year, as we talked about with the 6 scores for teams, there weren't clear advantages in this wild card round. In the past, last year, there were some clear advantages. And every week, those advantages get narrower and narrower. But, our biggest advantage, I thought was Philadelphia over Green Bay. How much do you think the elbow/ulnar nerve was an issue for Jordan Love? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being almost nothing to 10 being huge.
I kind of have to do like a 7 or 8 because he is he is turnover prone. So I can't just be like, 3 picks, that's your elbow. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily him. But the 2 of the picks I noticed they were severely underthrown, and that was something you said would be the case. Also, very inaccurate on a lot of short passes. Not usually the case. He's usually a good deep ball thrower too. I think that we had the under 35.5 longest pass. And you said the one we had was that 29-yard pass. That didn't really look like a fireball kind of throw. It's kind of like
it was a back shoulder, throw it up, and good adjustment. A good pass. It was complete.
Yeah. Right.
It wasn't on stride, on a bullet. It was, look, I got to give Jordan Love credit. He did not blame the elbow. He did not blame the nerve after the game. How much of a factor was it? Not much. It was okay. I could do it. Like, he's not making excuses.
Right.
But when you're talking about the fine points, and if your grip isn't 100% and your feeling is a little bit off, it can affect you, especially downfield, which is why we like the under longest receptions that hit. And was that first kickoff a turnover or not? I don't know. I mean, that certainly helped the Philadelphia side. But then again, if they don't get that, I mean, Philadelphia sort of underperformed in the first half. Anyways, I feel like it was a factor. I don't know if I agree with 7 or 8, but I feel like it was a factor, at least on deep balls. And, I know that Schefter apparently talked about it Sunday morning.
Yes.
And I saw Nate Burleson talking about it Sunday morning on the CBS pregame show, what we've been saying all week. So that probably was the biggest one.
What about too, Doc? There's a lot of people saying he would be a little rusty or so forth just because of the concussion. He had multiple weeks off. He didn't look great, I would say, but I mean, he did enough to win. AJ Brown, I want to talk to you about that, about the reading book on the sideline, but he didn't necessarily get a lot of targets and stuff. So like, you can't, I don't know if you can necessarily say it's the concussion, but he didn't look himself yet. The rushing was there though. Like you said, that wouldn't go away.
Well, what we said all along is that both Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love are going to play. We're not worried about them, but more worried about Jordan Love than Jalen Hurts and the rust. Right. Jalen Hurts His rushing ability, running the offense is fine. Some of his timing and passes not the best, but going forward here, you brought up AJ Brown's reading a book.
Yeah, I had to talk to you about that. Yeah, it's a little interesting.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm less worried about AJ Brown reading a book than I am his knee. He does not look like the same guy.
He has no burst at the moment. He can't separate. That's correct. Yeah.
He does not look like the same guy. That's an issue. Something to follow. At first, we were just vet rests on his knees. He always has that, but he does not look like the same guy at all. And that's my bigger concern than reading a book on the sideline. What's your thought on reading a book on the sideline?
I just want to mention too, with his knees, you've had Kaplan, Adam Kaplan on before, and he kind of mentioned that was one of the reasons why the Titans might have got rid of him so quickly into his, before he went to his prime, because he has those, chronic knee issues on both knees. But I don't know if I'm old, like school thinking, Doc, but I really thought it was inappropriate. Maybe, I don't know, like, I don't think you should be doing anything but focusing on the game, and then he's like, it's inner excellence and stuff. It seems very like narcissistic. It didn't look great. And I don't know if it played well on the Philly fans either. I didn't see a lot of like positive comments about it on Twitter. I don't know. I said old comment. You're going to give me the actual old take. But I mean, like for me, I just think it's very old school to think that no books, no fun. You know what I mean? But I think that's what I kind of felt a bit, I guess.
Here's my thought on it. First of all, my first thought is he says he does this every week. How have cameras not caught him before?
Yeah. The book did look weathered.
I'm not doubting that he's done it every week.
The book didn't look new. So I'll say it looked like it was rifled through. So I don't know if he did it.
I'm just saying. So number one is, how was he not caught on the sidelines before?
Right.
That's number one. Number two, he was pretty serious about the underline and highlight. Good for him.
Yep.
So I say good for him. But then my next take on it, now it's the number one bestseller. I'll bet the NFL's mad. How do we get a piece of that? I mean, in theory, you're not supposed to have any logos on the sideline. In theory, the title of a book is a logo.
It is, yes.
The NFL's not going to find him, but they could. Okay, when you wear an elbow brace or a knee brace, if it says Don Joy on it, you have to black it out.
Yep.
Because they're not a sponsor in the NFL. And so anything that's proprietary, like, you think it's an accident that the headset said Motorola on it or whatever it was, and the tablet say Surface on it?
Those are all yes.
paid for sponsorships.
Right.
With the Chargers, there was something where they used some quote Gorilla Glue, and it was like, no, you can't because it's a brand name something, right? And in theory, I guess the book would fall under that category. He's not going to get fined. It'd be a horrific look. And who would they fine? AJ Brown for reading the book? I mean, the book author. I mean, it's a number one seller, I guess, right now. Look, I don't think it's that big of a deal. My other take is the funniest thing is I usually don't have the volume on. I did have it there, and Tom Brady making that remark about eating a hot dog on the sideline.
Yes.
I mean,
he said some quarterbacks, and he said some quarterbacks they've eaten a hot dog on the sideline before. He was he had something for that. He was ready to go.
Well, I'm not trying to be snarky or whatever, but
yeah,
I could also say, well, some quarterbacks like their personal gurus on the sideline too. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I mean.
Do you think he forgets, or he's just talking? He's not worried about any backlash. He's just going with the flow, I think.
I don't know. I mean, it's a hard job. I mean, he read a book on the sideline. Who cares? It's not like it was LeBron James and it was upside down.
Does it depend on the coach to kind of figure it out? I feel like Marty Schottenheimer, I feel like I see him like ripping the book in front of the team. Sirianni, I think I'm with you on that. I don't think Sirianni gives a crap.
Look, even Marty Schottenheimer, if Nick Sirianni or Marty Schottenheimer knew he pulled out a book on the sidelines, there would be a problem. That means they're not watching the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not worried about that stuff. I think it's a complete non-issue, non-story. I mean, it is what it is. He liked getting inspiration from the passages. I mean, it's not like he's reading every page of the book. Maybe, people often, in marker write a message on their tape, wrist tape, or shoe spatter tape. I don't know. Maybe it's time to get him a play call thing on his forearm and have a couple of the quotes and call it a day.
It's in the book. That's good. I like that.
I mean, you don't need the whole book, obviously. I mean, it's not like you're reading 300 pages. You just a couple of passages as reminders.
Book. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, I think it's a non-story. You'll get him the sheet on the little play card thing and put a couple quotes in there. Call it a day. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's that. I guess that's just me being old, but yeah, I guess you're right. No one would care. And then they're just looking on to the next thing. I feel like different locker rooms might handle it. I don't know. Like I just keep thinking of like an old school, like a Tomlin or something, just like being very upset about it. But like you said, just not non-issue. Go to the next round, right? Nothing to see.
I don't think anyone was going to be upset about this. I don't think a coach would be upset about this. You get your personal inspiration on that. It's not like he was not looking at the Surface tablets and someone was meeting with him and he's like, hold on, I got to read this passage.
Yeah.
I mean, it was sitting down, moment of quiet. And here's the other thing I don't think everyone understands. You'd say, well, isn't he watching the game instead? Is he distracted? I can't tell you the number of players that don't necessarily know what happened on the other side of the ball because they're sitting down. They don't have a sight line anyways. And a lot of times players, offense or defense, if they're sitting on the sideline, they react to the crowd noise. Oh, what happened? Is it time for me to go in? Is it a turnover, right? I mean, you're not watching every play. You're concentrating on your side of the ball and your thing and then gathering your thoughts in between. And no, you're not always standing up watching. I don't know. I think it's a complete non-issue. I don't think any coach would have a problem with it if he wants to read a book. I mean, it's not like it's a Harlequin romance, and I got to find out what happens next. I mean,
like he's a page turner. Yeah. Yeah. Well, going from a non-issue, Doc, to probably this is the biggest issue going on in the nation right now: the SoCal LA fires. Tell me your thoughts on that. How it would affect preparation and how you see it affecting the Rams game and so forth tonight.
Well, I'm from LA. I've been up to LA. Well, I was up there a couple weeks ago to Santa Monica near Malibu, a friend's birthday dinner. His parents have a house on the beach. They were evacuated. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of friends who were evacuated. I exchanged some texts with some friends that are up there. Won't name drop, but some were evacuated. Some sent me video of the fire across the other side of the hill. Thankfully, I do have one friend it was a vacation home burned down in Malibu. Mm-hmm. My wife's aunt and uncle in the previous Malibu fire, not this time around, had their house burned down. They lived up on a hill in Malibu, and they survived by jumping into the pool. Oh. I mean, they tried to get down the mountain. There was too much traffic. Mm-hmm. There were stalled cars and whatever, so they turned around, went back up their driveway. They live on the top of the hill. Got out, walked back towards their house, and of course, with wind and fire going up hills, it went uphill pretty quickly. They jumped in their pool, and they have a video from the pool. Literally, their house burned down in 30 seconds.
Wow.
It was like a movie. It wasn't even a movie. Like if you showed that in a movie, I'd say that's not believable. I mean, this wasn't a wood shake frame house. I mean, there was stone and other things. I mean, it burned down, boom, 30 seconds. The heat, unbelievable. And imagine they were in the pool for, hypothermia. I don't care. I don't care if the pool's heated. I mean, it's not heated to 98 degrees, right? I mean, they were in the pool for 6-8 hours, right? I mean, that's just craziness. But so not getting back to this, I think it's a huge deal, right? For a lot of people. I don't know how much of a deal it will be for the Rams, but I can tell you it's going to be a bigger deal for the Rams than it was for the Chargers. Here's my theory why. Besides the obvious, the Rams are losing a home game. The Chargers were on the road anyways. The Chargers, if they were affected, they've got friends or other people. They live in the LA area in general. Their practice field was smoky. They wore masks. The orange, amber, hazy sky behind them at practice. But they were playing in Houston. They left for Houston on schedule. They played in Houston. And also the Chargers have been more of a, I'm from LA, so I know the geography, of a South Bay team, south part of LA, almost Orange County. That's where they've practiced. So most people live in south of the marina there, south of the airport in LA, Redondo and Hermosa and things like that. Pacific Palisades is a little far away.
Yeah.
The Rams practice in Woodland Hills, a lot closer. Or the Chargers moved to El Segundo by the airport now. But that was just this year, their new practice facility. But the people have lived and worked in the organization. And unless you just moved there, most people didn't live in Pacific Palisades. It's just too much of a commute. So I think the Chargers, although they feel the effect of the community, have it better than the Rams. Sean McVay got evacuated.
Right.
I'm not sure how many other people. I'm not sure anyone lost homes or whatever, but they have a lot more friends that got evacuated because of their geography. They practice in Woodland Hills. Look it up on a map. It's a lot closer to Palos Verdes. They're more North LA. Palos Verde is north/west LA, but they're more north. The Chargers were more south, and they lost a home game. And the whole team, I mean, you saw Matthew Stafford with his wife and kids. His kids even had the flu and went to an ER in Arizona. They got there on Friday. So it's a Rams home game. And they got there staying in hotel rooms, I assume, on Friday, where the Vikings came in yesterday as scheduled. So the plane went to Arizona instead of LA.
No issues. Yeah, no change. Just a destination.
Their normal schedule. Whereas Matt Stafford, I'm not singling out Matt Stafford, but you saw pictures of his wife and kids. His kids are sick. Arizona ER, living in a hotel room. More upheaval. More upheaval for the Rams. That's all I'm saying. If you're saying the Chargers were affected this much, it's got to be greater for the Rams. How much greater is a question. And we had a fire move once, a Charger game. I don't remember the year. You'll find it in 2 seconds. It was the year Junior Seau played with the Dolphins. And it was a Monday night football game. And it was supposed to be Junior's homecoming to San Diego. And it got moved because of San Diego fires. But that one wasn't moved because the fires were still raging. It wasn't the air quality. It was because Qualcomm, the stadium, had been used as a temporary shelter.
Right.
And it would be a horrible look to kick people out of the shelter to have an NFL game. And even the SoFi game, they got moved. Some of it was just to get the families out. So some of it is not to take away police and fire resources. SoFi is not that close to the fire.
And that was in 2003, Doc, by the way, that game.
All right. Thanks for making me feel old, but whatever. That game got moved to Arizona and very sparsely attended.
And you think that's the same for this game, or how do you think the attendance will be for this game?
I think you're going to get face market tickets and below. I think it's going to be, for lack of a better word, a Wembley game. Okay. You know how when there's a game in London, you got, no matter who's playing, you got Patriots jerseys and Jaguars jerseys and Bears jerseys and Packers jerseys, and there's a sort of a hush in the crowd. Anytime there's a good play, it's like, oh, wow. I mean, it's not going to be an overly partisan crowd. I don't see it. I don't see it as being all Rams or all Vikings. I mean, to fly down there and whatever. I think it's going to be a lot of, it's an NFL playoff game. I'm interested. They might have a crowd there, but I don't think it's going to be strongly partisan one way or the other.
How do you think the city's going to respond? Because I remember talking to you before. Just I remember the New Orleans situation with Katrina and how the team responded after they won a Super Bowl a little later. Obviously, we did mention there's a little bit of a gap. This one's very close to when this situation happened. There was a little bit of a gap when they won.
The Rams were talking about the game being a galvanizing force for the community. Mm-hmm. I agree, but it's a little too soon. I mean, the fires are still going on. They're not over yet.
Right. They just contained it.
Is when you're, rebuild. Here, they're still dealing with the fires.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also not a game in LA. Hard to galvanize when you're removed.
A different state, yes. Yeah.
And Katrina, if I remember correctly, I mean, the Saints were on the road that year, right? Mm-hmm. During Katrina. And they were a hot mess. And this was now, we're back at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. This used to be a shelter. It's a new season. We've rebuilt. It's a rebirth. It's Drew Brees. It wasn't within a week of the storm and the tragedy.
Right.
So I think it's a different face. Right now, I think people are still trying to get through it. They're not on the rebirth, rebuild, and galvanize yet. So we'll see. I mean, it is a playoff game, and maybe the Rams will coalesce over this, but I think they're dealing with a lot.
I mean, those are people too that were rebuilding, right? That like were able to go to the games after they kind of set themselves up. This, like you said, it's hard to go to a game when you haven't fully fixed the situation back home yet, right? It's
okay. I'll give you a silly analogy. It's not the same thing, okay? Right. And I'm not pretending that it is. Did I do a better job in the war room on Sunday most of this year, or that Sunday I was with my family in Montana, even though they were on the mountain skiing?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in my mini war room? A, I was remote, so that's a different story, but B, hang on, I got to pick them. I got to, this, that, the other. It's distractions. Now during the game, Matt Stafford won't have those distractions, but I mean, even little things. Yes, they have the help of athletic trainers and staff there, and it's Matthew Stafford. But even little things like, does my little kid have the right binky or the right blanket? Did I pack it? What about a thermometer and the right kids medicine? And where's the CVS that I can run to go get that, right? I mean, just the little things in life.
Pets too, right? I was saying I heard they helped them bring the pets. I'd be worried about.
There are some pets, yes.
Yeah. That's what I think would be in the back.
It's just a lot of distraction is all. And I'm not saying it's bad. I hope the Rams coalesce. I hope there's a really good game tonight. But you ever travel to a conference, or those of us, you go to a business meeting or a conference or whatever, isn't it different when you go solo versus with your family? In some ways, with your family or significant other is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little bit of a different focus and experience.
Different, yes, yeah.
Is all.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the Rams, my guess is they're still, in a probably last night cloistered away from family like most teams are the night before a game, with teams. So some normalcy. But no, I think it's a bigger deal. All I can say is how big of a deal, I don't know, but much bigger deal for the Rams than for the Chargers.
Yeah, just going forward.
Losing the game, yes.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, just thoughts and prayers to everybody's involved in that situation. Like you said, hope for a good game tonight, and no one's thinking too much about what's going on. Right before I jump into the rundown, Doc, just want to make we're 3-1 this Sunday and Saturday against the spread. We'll have more picks tonight, and then NBA picks will be coming. We're building something in the back end on the site, and then SIC Picks college basketball, Doc. 3-star is 66% now. It was 64 last podcast, so we continue to roll that train on, which is good. There's injury angles everywhere, Doc.
Yeah, and this Rams angle is not a physical injury. They're healthy. Right. It's more the mental side. Will it galvanize to a victory, or will there be other things on their mind? I mean, is there one extra drop pass or offsides or, I don't know. I don't know. Now, Minnesota, here's the irony of it. Minnesota has an away game. Their routine was normal. The only difference is they told the pilots to fly to a different airport.
Not
and the
Los
team
Angeles.
buses took them to a Marriott in Scottsdale or Phoenix instead of a Hyatt in LA. I mean, and they got their keys, handed to them when they walked in the back door of the hotel. I mean, you know what hotel you're in.
Right.
If there were family traveling, maybe their plans changed, they moved hotels, but minimum effect on the Minnesota. The Vikings still flew in last night as typical for today's game. The Rams were there since Friday and potentially packed up things from home and other things and so forth, right? Yeah. Just not the routine is all.
All right, Doc, just jumping in the injuries that happened this week. Talk to me about Nakobe Dean. We didn't for the Eagles. We didn't necessarily see something in video when we are live in game this week.
I didn't see it. People were saying, "What's he got? What's he got?" I was like, "Well, I should take it back." You guys sent me video. Mm-hmm. The video that I saw did not show the injury. Now, clearly, it was left knee, but you got to give him credit. Now the news is out. He tore his patella tendon, which is surgery, which is a huge deal. Which is he's not ready for the start of next season. However, you got to give him some credit. He finished the play and made the tackle.
Yep.
And I think he tore his patella tendon as soon as he started forward, but he still took another step and finished the play. And that's where we didn't really see it, so I couldn't comment on it. And then the interesting thing is clearly it's his left patella tendon. Mm-hmm. If you watch him, he actually kneels on his left knee, but then he doesn't get up, right? Yeah. He's like, yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately, season ending for him and not ready for the start of next season, but got to give him some kudos. Beast of the week right there. He finished the play, made the tackle.
And that's a big loss for them. They play the winner of the game tonight. Defensively, another injury also for them is Darius Slay didn't return with his elbow injury. That could be two big losses going into the next game this week. Houston, on the other hand, they don't have too much going on. The running game for me is an interesting one because Mixon did okay this game, but they have been kind of slow since that injury to Shaq Mason in his knee. We never had full injury or the exact injury or the details of our video. So is there a chance he could return? This has been now 3 weeks, which is getting towards almost a month now.
Well, we'll have to look at it a little more. Houston's still alive, right? Houston plays Kansas City. We know Kansas City's trajectory is getting healthier and healthier. Mm-hmm. And Houston, Shaq Mason's a big one. Joe Mixon's run game has not been the same without Shaq Mason. Although he did all right on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I would have thought more picks for Justin Herbert in one game than the whole season.
That was incredible. Yeah, that was definitely something. One injury I do want to talk about, Doc, it was one of the major ones. This happened last night. Is Daron Payne. He had multiple people on social media just wondering what it said. All you see, from a layman is just Daron Payne, parentheses, finger, questionable return. In your head, you're like, why are you not coming back to the game? It's just your finger. Da, da, da. I did send you the x-ray that he posted on Instagram, so you do have that, Doc, in your head. Tell me your thoughts on what you saw. He did return to the game, by the way.
Fans are funny. It's just the finger. Ronnie Lott, cut it off.
Yeah.
Yep. First of all, Ronnie Lott did not cut off his finger in game to return. That was a whole other story.
Yes.
Second of all, this is actually not his finger, it's his thumb. Now, I didn't see the video of the injury, but the x-ray that you showed me, and I could show it here, was his thumb. And for the faint of heart, look away here as I hold up the picture. Oh, wait, let's show off the phone. Big screen.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you have the big you got the canvas.
There
you go. That's
MCP joint dislocation. And let me tell you why he didn't come back so quickly. First of all, dislocated any joint hurts. Thumb is more major than any finger. Secondly, they have to reduce it. So that's the locker room. They probably injected it. And you saw how disjointed it was. He likely tore his skin as well. And they had to suture it. Mm-hmm. He was out a quarter. I wouldn't give him any grief for that. Yeah. Right. I mean, this is not like you jammed your pinky finger and, pull on it, straighten it, finish the play, tape it together. He dislocated this joint of his thumb and undoubtedly tore ligaments. Probably an inside-out skin issue, open dislocation. He had to numb it, reduce it, wash it out, and sew it up. It took him half an hour. I mean, I wouldn't give him any grief. He came back. Now, he's going to play next week. But can he shed blocks to do the same thing? It's hard. I mean, he's going to be in a big club with his thumb.
Yes, it's going to be painful, right? As they'd say, yeah. Next one I have here, Doc.
Daron will be painful.
Yes, yeah. It'll be a painful play for him.
No, they can numb it, but it's a big cast. It's a functional splint.
And that hurts them too. They're already without Jonathan Allen. So those are two top defensive tackles. So that'll hurt their run stopping. A team that didn't
the middle, David Montgomery.
There you go. Speaking of the teams we'll go through that didn't play this week, I have a couple things. KC with their O-line issues. It looks like DJ Humphries is finally back from his hamstring. He was off the report going into this week. The early stuff that they said. Do you expect him to go back into left tackle, or do you think they're going to wait a little bit since he doesn't have many reps? He just went to the team and then he got hurt.
Well, I don't pretend to know.
You're the one that told me DJ Humphries was going to start, and he started soon. So I gotta take what you're saying to heart right now.
Look, they had problems at left tackle and right tackle.
Right, Juwan Taylor in his knee. Yes, yeah.
DJ Humphries was supposed to solve left tackle, but then he hurt his hamstring, and they moved the guard out.
Mm-hmm. Joe Thuney, yes.
And Joe Thuney's been all right.
Mm-hmm.
And do they now? I don't know if DJ Humphrey can play right tackle. I don't know.
I would say no. Yeah, yeah.
But who knows? Can Joe Thuney play right tackle? He's a right guard. I don't know.
Left guard. Left guard.
He's a left guard. I mean, yeah. Can he play right tackle? Yeah. I don't know. Humphries helps him. If you got to at least solidify, you can't have both tackles bad.
Yes, yeah. You need a leg to stand on. Are you more worried about them or Chris Jones and his calf injury that he missed multiple games? Maybe one with the everybody sat week 18, but
no, I think Chris Jones is going to. I'm less worried about Chris Jones than I am about just the O-line shuffle.
Yes,
how they're going to play together.
Right.
DJ Humphries coming back only helps them, but then where does Thuney go and how does it all work out? But once again, they're on the uptick, including Chris Jones. Yes.
Next one I had, Doc, the Bills. We had 2 concussion checks. One was Terrion Johnson we said it was more of a neck issue. We weren't expecting too much of the comeback, but he did return, which is good news. Thoughts on that?
His neck. I thought his head would clear. He's probably going to be on the practice report stiff this week, but it wasn't a head down. He just got jammed on his neck.
And then the running back.
He had to get x-rays to clear him, so that's what he went inside for.
And then the other one was Doc was the running back Ray Davis. He took a hard hit, helmet to helmet, concussion. There's a worry that he will miss this week. And next one, go on. You're say, Doc.
Yeah, he got rocked.
And the most injured team, Doc, on the most exciting too, Detroit. They had their bye. Maybe hopefully it helps them recover. Tell me your thoughts. Everybody's asking about is David Montgomery and his knee injury.
I think David Montgomery has a good chance to play this week. A far cry from surgery and his season is over. We've talked about it. I think he leaned towards him coming back this week, but he'll be the 1B. Jamar Gibbs will be the 1A. Before it was the other way. Montgomery was the 1A. Jamar Gibbs was the 1B. I think if Jamar Gibbs starts the game and he's the 1A, and they'll use David Montgomery for up the middle stuff inside running with Daron, Payne, and Jonathan Allen with issues. So I think Montgomery does play this week, but he's the 1B now, not the 1A as he works his way back.
Sonic versus Knuckles, right? They're going to do that, yes. Your thoughts on the right guard, Kevin Zeitler, in the final possession of their last game? He suffered a right hamstring injury. Do you think he can play this week?
He's 100% playing. The question is, can they ask him to do all the pulling that he normally does, or does it change up a little bit what they normally do? But I think he's 100% playing.
And then there was one that I don't. I guess we don't delete our stuff. Terrion Arnold, we saw something different than what he said. We thought it was more of a fracture of the leg, or he just.
I thought he got whipped on the fibula.
Yes, yeah, fibula fracture.
And they're now saying foot, and there's no fracture, so I think he's got a chance to play. So that would be good news for the Lions.
And you'd be you're still worried about their D line, right? They still have 4+ people on the on IR: Hutchinson, Davenport, Pecco.
Aaron Glenn's been doing it with mirrors.
Yes.
Now all I can say is, I assume that Aaron Glenn will have a plan to stop Jane Daniels from rolling right and running right. He's like, every time he goes to the right.
You're so upset about that.
Well, no, it's not upset about that. It's just like,
are you not stopping?
Do you not see what he's doing? I mean, like, any pressure up the middle, he goes right. Pressure on the left, he goes right. And he had success running and throwing right.
Yeah.
Can we at least make him go the other way?
Hopefully Aaron Glenn is watching. You gave him the key.
Aaron Glenn's got it. He doesn't need me to tell him that. I mean, look, Jaden Daniels had a lot of success that way. Look, we know very well Josh Allen has incredible success rolling right, but can you stop him from rolling that way is the question.
Yes. All right, Doc, you already mentioned Beast of the Week earlier. I have no other thoughts here. NBA will continually do insights every day. College basketball, NFL, SIC Picks continually to thrive. Any last thoughts?
No, I think the team did a good job doing everything with Wild Card Weekend when there weren't obvious scores, to find some nuggets in there. And probably the best nugget of the week was the Jordan Love and under longest and his issues. But we'll keep looking this week. We don't have all the scores out yet, but go to sicscore.com, and the SIC picks continue to be pretty good. But it's all injury-based advantages, and this will be good. We'll good time of the season here, and then we'll continue the podcast, and we'll do it at the Super Bowl, and then we'll get into guest season. So if you have any suggestions for guests in the football off season, we've got the time to do that. So that'll be good. All right. So we'll sign off. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this live format continues to work for people, answering questions, etc. Big game tonight. Minnesota, Rams, Vikings versus the Rams. I want to say Minnesota at LA Rams, but not really at, right? And let's see what happens. Sam Darnold, is he, the one game was terrible, but can he turn it around here?
He's had 16 good games, right? And then he has that one bad game, and it's just like, is he back to his Jet self, right?
Recency bias, right? Yeah. Everyone's got him banned.
Yeah.
The Rams, that was the turnaround the Rams season when they played. Remember, they were talking about trading Cooper Kupp and maybe Matthew Stafford and backs to the wall, and they won that Thursday night game. Puka came back and played, and Kupp played, and they beat the Vikings and launched themselves a little bit towards the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can put it behind them and have a good game, and hopefully the Flyers are just an afterthought, and we can have a nice, entertaining game tonight. All right, thanks for watching and listening.
Real quick, Aaron Jones and his quad. You see no issues with him another week healthy? That was the last question I have here, Doc.
I have to think that we were a little bit wrong last week. I thought there was no issues with Aaron Jones and his quad last week. And given his utilization, Cam Akers' increased utilization, the lack of utilization along the goal line, you have to think that Aaron Jones was not 100% last week, closer to it this week. So hopefully that'll be the case. And when I say this week, it's tonight. So, all right. Thanks for watching Sports Injury Central Pro Football Doc podcast. And we'll have the usual pregame halftime stuff tonight. And have a good week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.